Charlie's Angels.
Do I look like I've been crying for 15 hours?
All right, ready?
Hi, guys. Welcome to our 13th? 12th open mic, White Noise, our installation where we invite all of you to come and get creative with us. Summer, would you like to say some opening words, some statements?
Yeah, hi, I'm your host, Summer, and this is your other host, Moral P, and we're happy to be here with you today. And we would like to kick it off with our first performer, Angela.
Sing a simple song, my dear, like the one you know by heart. It will take you far, my dear. Just go ahead and start. And you can't blink or sleep for fear that you might miss something. You can't blink or sleep for fear that you might miss something. Sing of simple things, my dear, like a smile on the train. They will mean so much, my dear, and dry off all the rain. Bathed in sunlight shining clear, it's unlike anything. Funny how you feel at home in a place you've never been. Ooh. And now you walk through life leaving a piece of your heart behind. It stays beating, hoping, dreaming you'll be back in time. So sing a simple song, my dear, like the one that got you by. It will mean so much, my dear. Just go ahead and try. Thank you. I thought it'd be fun to kind of do a bookend. That was a song that I wrote like 10 years ago now. So I'll play one that I wrote 5 or 6 years ago. We'll kind of work our way towards the present a little bit. This is a sad Christmas song. feels like it was over before it even began. I watched you take the paper and throw it into the trash can. And now the lights are dim and all is said and done. And we can go back to ignoring everyone. And I don't know why I get out of bed anymore. A special time of love and cheer and snowy glow. They said the last full moon on this day was 40 years ago. All these things that we should have to celebrate. Why do they seem to leave me with a bitter taste? And I don't know why I get out of bed anymore. I drove in just to see my childhood fall apart. The red barn on the corner, a skeleton in the dark. I hear you count down the days until the house can sell, and wipe away all of the memories that it held. But truth be told, I don't know where home is anymore. Came in to say hello, well, turn around and close the door. Thank you. All right. I haven't played in a while, so I'll just do one more. This is one I wrote a couple years ago. It's kind of about feeling good for the first time in a while and feeling very weird about that and almost missing feeling bad. It doesn't have a name. Why can't I fly when I fall? Why must I feel anything at all? 'Cause I've grown too fond of the bad, and I don't know how to act when I don't feel so sad. Well, shouldn't I be glad? But the comfort of night's all I had. And now the cool blanket of dark was torn off my heart. I guess it's time to restart. to do? When will my fortunes and birthday cake wishes come true? 'Cause I think I'm running out of time to turn my life into what feels like mine, and I'm done with playing fine. It's only ever a lie. And oh, I've gotten this far by playing that card. It's time to restart. Thanks so much. Thanks for having me.
And next up is Justin.
Okay. Hi, I'm Justin. Tune there. We tend to go in fits and starts, and we don't know where the hell we are. We like to stay open for things like that, work it out. It doesn't matter if it sounds real and it sounds good, then it's true. Talking about it from our point of view, we don't know if it's bad or good, but we'll keep on doing it. We don't know if it's bad or good, but we'll keep on doing it. Keep on doing it. In hard aquarium mind, catch some songs along the line. We don't know if it's good or bad. Catch 'em as they fly by. What you might call philosophy, it's just up there, poor technique. But we go pretty far back. We like to stay open for things like that. If it sounds real and it sounds good, then it's true. Talking about it from our point of view, we don't know if it's bad or good, but we'll keep on doing it. We don't know if it's bad or good, but we'll keep on doing it. catch 'em as they fly by. It sounds real and it sounds good, then it's true. I'm talking about it from our point of view. We don't know if it's bad or good, but we'll keep on doing it. We don't know if it's bad or good, but we'll keep on doing it. Keep on doing it. Skeleton heart, aquarium mind, catch some songs along the line. We don't know if it's good or bad, we'll catch 'em as they fly by. It's a wild, wild ride. We hope it continues for a long, long time. Everything coming like skeleton heart, aquarium mind, catch some songs along the line. We don't know if it's good or bad, but catch 'em as they fly by. It's a wild, wild ride. We hope it continues for a long, long time. Everything coming like it's a new one I'm working out. This one's traveling a little. All right. Tried alcohol and I tried pills. Tried to fill the hole I was digging just to fill. When I see your face, I knew what had gone wrong. I didn't need to change the singer, had to change the song. Let me tell you something about whiskey blues. You manifest the darkness that you choose. If you can't see the light, you can never do what's right for anybody else, let alone you. Heroes tried to warn us, they sure did. The life they lived just might have dead the men. When I see your face, I knew what had gone wrong. You can't walk in someone else's shoes for long. Let me tell you something about whiskey blues. You manifest the darkness that you choose. If you can't see the light, you can never do what's right for anybody else, let alone you. If you can't see the light, you can never do what's right for anybody else, let alone you. For anybody else, let alone you. Hey. Thank you. I got one more. You wonder about the change. Things just might get simpler. You can check that everything's in order before she dreams that you are born, so you'll exist inside her song. A beautiful sense of style. I wait a little or a long while. Make it happen in a heartbeat. Bring you in and out with ease. You and I betwixt the spirit that comes through, music pouring from your lips. Nothing that we need to prove. Strike so close to home. Calls and I answer. You whisper, go ahead. If you want me, pull the thread. And the tide will change. You find yourself in it, floating in one place, not hearing what the band is playing. There are no echoes anymore. Clearly hear your song come from a place we've been before, and we're singing along as we pick our clothes up from the floor. The thing is, it doesn't matter. Questions about love don't have answers, but we nevertheless go on, so we'll exist inside her song. I don't need to ask you why. I could never keep you tied to the frayed ends of the tether, where jaybirds of a feather. You and I betwixt the spirit that comes through, the music pouring from your lips. Nothing that we need to prove. Strike so close to home. Calls and I answer. You whisper, go ahead. If you want me, pull the thread. And the tide will change. You find yourself in it, floating in one place, clearly hear your song come from a place we've been before. And we're singing long as we pick our clothes up from the floor. Thank you.
Hi guys, my name is Moral P. The P stands for poetry. I'm really not excited to be here today. I'm in a very bad mood, and I'm going to attempt to do this without crying. But if I cry, it's all art, baby, right? So I wanted to just say it's really wonderful having this get kicked off with two really lovely musicians. I almost said magicians. Could you imagine? But it really set the tone for me, you know, kind of like brought me down. I think music really is a connectative element. I also am not great at words, but I don't know, it put me in a better spot than when I arrived here, so thank you for that. I don't have a whole hell of a lot to read today. I have one poem that I didn't really finish, but you know, I'm actually going to start this with a quote. I'm going to start this off with a quote from a band called Drug Church from a song called Weed Pin. If you've ever heard it, it's not a very good song, but I think it really encapsulates how I feel today. And that quote is, "Fuck you, at 12.50 an hour, I should have started a chemical fire. I should have burned this fucking place to the ground." Thank you. And now, poetry. This is untitled. I'm sitting in my car, chain-smoking Newports, and I am convinced tomorrow is the day I will change my entire life, who I am entirely. Big Jack says, "Kid, the war is over and you lost." Years later, I am an inactive drone buried beneath the earth in a time where only our fathers talk of war as if it's real. War on video, war like cave paintings of men with sticks against men with rocks, war like a Mel Brooks movie. Asleep in my dirt bed, my crown is a sigil of worm and forgotten acorn. Beneath a duvet of ivy and mugwort, the shell around my shell is breathing and moving, and I am so frigid and temperamental. Years before this, during the war, I was chain-smoking in my car, and Keenan asked me if I'm going to open the window. Surrender is the name of the game, but I am such a sore loser and a sore winner. I feel like you don't get to be both and be a good person. I'm learning slowly that God can't put what I need in my hands if I'm holding on so tightly to what I think I want. Today, I lost my job, and all I can think about is Israel. All right, my next poem. I think I've read this before, but fuck it. Okay, this is called Devotee. Hear me. I've cried out to a god of silver. Gods wrapped in wax paper and sealed with coral lipstick kisses, idols made of fear, divinity at the center of every ball of glorious cotton. God made the grasshoppers and every other horrible thing we cast in bronze and call holy. Grasshopper girl walks her way through broken eggshell promises and rests her arm on your arm, but only for a moment and then another. I sit in my big green chair and I read poems written by a man who hates women, just like me. I've kept 100 promises out of spite and told 1,000,000 lies. I've never confessed to any of this until now, and barely. Okay, I got one more. Thanks, David. Thanks, David. I wrote some prose about my mom. Let's get weird. Why not? Let's do it. All right. I think this is fitting. I had a really hard day, and the first person I called was my mom. And this is a woman who gave birth to me. And there was a point in my life where I didn't speak to her for about 5 years, and I'm really glad that that has changed. This is called Mom. I cannot recall much of my childhood, which I'm told is typical of trauma survivors, though I've never really identified much with that term, feeling more like a passenger in some vessel amidst a great sea of it is what it is. Not a victim, not a survivor, just someone incapable of steering a boat real good. Now, in hindsight, I feel partially responsible for the way my mother is. In spite of the title I am determined to reject, I managed to pluck fragments of memory from parts of me that are too delicate to hold for long. I am 5, and there is a bin of plastic prehistoric monsters in a basement that I am hell-bent on ensuring are always dumped onto the floor. Not long after that is the first time I see a real-life giraffe. I am crying my eyes out thinking about how tall a brontosaurus is, and it is then that I'm unable to keep anything down. Growing up, I was a puker. I still kind of am. I identify as a puker. My stomach, so full of butterfly bile, reflects my mother's stomach, so full of fear. She tells me that baby dinosaurs nuzzle up to their mommies to communicate because they don't have words. They didn't have words back then. They don't have clothes. I was too old for this and let her feel the sting of my rejection. I was not a baby dinosaur. I was not and am not a baby. For 18 years, I watched her not allow fear to crawl into any part of her, having instead found its nest in her gut. She has carried this fear in her ground zero stomach for 18 years until she becomes a puker too. I ignite charcoal in my apartment to make a nest for incense I bought at the market that day. As I'm watching strings of heat light creep along its skin, I imagine my mother's fear creeping into every part of her until it's all she was. With all of my will, I couldn't place that moment, but I remember noticing she was consumed. So many things have happened since then, and I don't know how many of them are true. My father has passed away in this time, and when he called me to come to his side on his deathbed, I let him feel the sting of rejection. 6 years of resentment later, my mother sends me a photo of her as a girl on Easter. It occurs to me that she has played with dolls and cried and pukes and loves her mom, and in the same instance, I realize that I don't know anything besides her, or about her besides the contents of her stomach. I sit in a big green chair, like from the poem, and write the following words. I want to lay with my mother in bed and laugh with her. I want to hold her while we cry, like when Poppy was dying, like when we both understood that he would die. I want to know what her favorite band is, and I think so hard, and I do not know what her favorite band is. I've spent so long resenting her for not knowing me that it never occurred to me I did not know her. My mother sends me $200 via Cash App, and I accept the money, but I do not say thank you. Later that day, she calls me, and neither of us mention it. Before we get off the phone, I ask her, what was something I really liked when I was a little girl? And she texts me a single word, dinosaurs. Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Summer. I'm back again. Thank you to everyone who's performed. Everything tonight has been so good. Oh my gosh. I'm so happy to be here. I have enough enthusiasm for you, Moral. So I have some bad poetry for you tonight. One is called Submersible, and I'm like, is it too soon to talk about the submarine? But I think that it's not too soon to talk about the submarine, so I'm going to talk about the submarine. So I've been calling this one Submersible. Do you think the men that paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to shove themselves into the submarine have been able in their final fleeting hours to see the irony through their tiny porthole? Do you think they knew the story of the Essex, the forefather of the Pequod, and the tragedy of Owen Coffin, who gave his life, his flesh, so that his crew might live on? Did these men not remember the hubris of the Titanic herself? The wreckage they longed to see with their own eyes? My father's friend was in the Navy, and he told her that they're dead, and if they're not, they will be. He says there is no way to get out. He says there's no way out. He says they imploded, they died hours ago, that even if we found them, there's no way for us to free them. They belong to the sea. I'm not quite sure how, but I know this is connected to the troop of militarized orcas. The men with their money wanted mastery, but they found the same watery maw waiting them, the same icy jaws that birthed and swallowed billions. He says there's no way out. I watch the news with one eye and hope they're dead, hope their hubris will be a message to others who think they can rule the primordial with man-made dollars and cents, senseless. I watch with the other and hope, like all those miners in Chile all those years ago, that we'll pull them out and out and out, and they'll testify themselves to their own stupidity. I think it would have been worse if they had lived. I hope one day to return to the sea too, but without the pretense of survival. Still, they're men, living, breathing men, well, probably not anymore, canned somewhere at the bottom of the sea, but my friend's father was a sailor, and he says there's no way out, that they died yesterday, probably 2 days ago now. But then again, so were the people who didn't get the lifeboats on the Titanic, the cooks and the maids and the crew. So were the 300 refugees that died in the Mediterranean this week. You don't see anyone talking about them. No, just the 5 rich idiots with a death wish and more money than God. I think of Owen Coffin, who fought his crewmates to do them that final act of service, to die, to be eaten. He knew that sometimes the only way out is in. I agree with the orcas. I agree with the pride of lionesses that slaughtered and ate their poachers. I hear the waves rolling in with the rhythm of a steam engine, and it sounds just like Nabokov said, abattoir, abattoir, abattoir. Thank you. I have another one for you today. I've been tentatively calling this one The Suffering is the Point, but we'll see how I feel. I've been dreaming of houses again. The front door of my grandmother's house that led to the hall and the well-lit half-bathroom in the front, the den to the left where every year she decorated the most immaculate Christmas trees I've ever seen, where every year we waded through a sea of gifts and then through a sea of wrapping paper. The stairs to the right that led up to the room with the bunk beds that my sister and I shared when our family didn't have a home. I dreamt I walked back to the dark den with the ottomans as big as beds and the TV where we watched SpongeBob. I dreamt I floated to my grandma's room where I would hide in her bed after school and pilfer her stash of blonde Oreos, who eats those, and watch Fairly Odd Parents. I woke up like a drowned man surfacing for air, and the weight of that loss made my body as heavy as a millstone. This morning I dreamt of my father's house. He bought it for his second wife and her daughters. You see, we never got a house. We moved and moved like nomads. On my mother's side, we have Bedouin blood, so I guess that's good. I dreamt that some nondescript maternal figure pulled his wife aside and asked her to go away for a while, and that was nice. And while she was gone, this other woman and I did all these things that I never got to do in the yard. We tended to trees, we watered flowers. It was just a gilded afternoon on the deck. Really nice. I dreamt that I told his wife that she was objectively mean, objectively bad, objectively cruel. And I ripped her hair out with my hands, and when I looked down, I was holding a kitten, and it was missing a leg, and I woke up like a drowned man surfacing for air with the new knowledge that the limits of cruelty are the limits of compassion, too. Thank you. I have a second version of that poem that I think is better, and I was contemplating whether or not I should read it, but I'm going to read it. So this is part 2, I guess. I dreamt that I stood on your arms and shouted down into your face, that you lay trapped, prone, beneath me, and I was Achilles standing over a doomed Hector, righteous. I watched my hands knot with your hair, wrench your hair like it was a tightening knot, and the knot between my eyes heaved, and the bile in my stomach swirled as I spit my truth down into your nascent face. You weren't her, you weren't anybody. Lately, my mind has been lazy in your reproduction, a vague shape, a vague hue, a sly suggestion. I've learned to spot you in the most unlikely of places. You can never get away from me, but then neither can I ever escape you. As I pulled you in two, I screamed down that you were objectively mean, objectively awful, objectively cruel, and as I pulled you taut, you vanished, and in my hands lay a small kitten whose legs had been wrenched from its body. And I gasped as the tears flooded my sleeping eyes and a sob choked my sleeping throat because I knew that in my anger I had done it. I had harmed the innocent, the trusting, the needing. In my anger, I had forgotten what Behumah Herbal taught me, who I guess Schopenhauer taught him, that the highest law is love, the love that is compassion. And in that moment, I understood that the limits of cruelty are also the limits of compassion, that sometimes the suffering is the point. Thank you. I have one more for you that I forgot to print out. And this one's a sestina. I've been doing some fixed form poetry lately, and I really like the sestina because it just like cycles back to the same 6 words over and over again, and you have to kind of figure it out. So this one's called, I hope death is the photo of us in Jordan. I hold a picture of us in my hand. In it, we walk through faded ink and sand. You wore the same white hair and wrinkled brow that day 2 decades ago when I was still small, and you still lived above the ground. Your memory festers like a wound. In my stomach there is a wound that cannot be healed by any human hand. It festers and grows like a seed in spring ground, but I am a body of shifting sand. When I saw you last, you seemed small, like your body had forgotten your soul and wrinkled. One day I will be wrinkled, but around you my heart will still be wound, for in the picture I am still small and you are still holding my hand. We walk through the eternal desert sand as if neither of us will ever have to taste the ground. When you left, you took my heart to ground. You wrapped it in papers, wrinkled by the years that passed like slipping sand, and in my stomach I grew an eternal wound, and the truth is that I still need you to hold my hand, for like the picture, I am faded and small. I used to think when I was small that only the dead go to ground, but you read the lines creasing the palm of my hand and whispered an unknown and wrinkled fate, soft and silky as the spider's web that wound around me until I choked on time's unrelenting sand. 4 years ago, we walked again in that landscape of sand, but this time it was you who felt small, while within me anger grew like a colossal wound. Once again, our feet touched that holy ground, but like you, my heart had wrinkled, and only the ghost of a timeless past held my hand. 3 years ago, I watched you lower into a wound in the ground, yet I can clearly see, through 20-year-old sand and wrinkled photograph, you still walk beside me and hold my small hand. Thank you. Unless there's anyone else who would like to perform, I think that might be it for tonight. It was definitely a quality over quantity evening. Thank you, everyone, for coming out. This was really wonderful. I'm so glad I was here. And I actually had a different piece of other people's writing to read to you guys at the end, but just considering everything I heard tonight, I picked something else by Rilke. It's called Want the Change. Rilke writes, "Want the change, be inspired by the flames where everything shines as it disappears. The artist, when sketching, loves nothing so much as the curve of the body as it turns away. What locks itself in sameness has congealed. Is it safer to be gray and numb? What turns hard becomes rigid and is easily shattered. Pour yourself out like a fountain. Flow into the knowledge that what you're seeking finishes often at the start and, with ending, begins. Every happiness is the child of a separation it did not think it could survive, and Daphne, becoming a laurel, dares you to become the wind." Thank you, everyone. Thanks for being here.